You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. How's it going? Echo Resto Dragon, welcome. Kirkenstein's Monster, Boanep, Michael Hassner. Thank you all for joining. Folks, we got a slightly shorter stream today. I have to go bust some missions, and I have to get out of here a little bit earlier. A couple of announcements before we get started. Number one, if you haven't done so, go check out this space. Okay. This space is launching June 10th. That's a couple weeks from now, folks. Not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. It is a working class media collective. I will be a part of that. So go ahead and do all the things. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on every platform that you can think of at This Space TV. Thank you all for joining. Usual disclaimer, thank you all for being here. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so. Keep doing what you're doing. Like the stream, share, subscribe. If you're on Twitch, hit that follow button. It really does help us out. If you want to support the channel directly, we have the merch store, !merch. Hit the tip button, Substack, subscribe to the Substack, and join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel. Ladybug, welcome. Let's get started, folks. Poggers. Eager with the tier 1 sub. Thank you for being my tester yesterday. Appreciate it. Checks in the mail. Thank you. I appreciate the support.
Sitting member of Congress and alleged adult Marjorie Taylor Greene kicked off Memorial Day weekend by getting into a public confrontation with an AI chatbot about whether or not she's a real Christian. And
alleged adult. Yeah. Making a lot of assumptions. Quick stopping as I must do some work. No problem. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And no, it did not go well for her. In fact, she was defeated by this AI chatbot handily. So it all started on May 23rd when she made this unnecessary, cringeworthy boomer post on Twitter that reads, "I'm a Christian, an imperfect sinner saved by grace and faith."
Have a great day, everyone. I'll be around longer soon. No problem. Appreciate it.
Faith in Jesus. That sounds more like Lindsey Graham than Marjorie, but you get the point. "I'm a nationalist, a proud American who loves my country and wants to make our home nation is the best place for all American citizens and future generations to come."
Yeah, you know she absolutely wrote this herself, okay? The assault on the English language. Okay, in the first two sections here, is very apparent. But also, like, yeah, this is just reiterating that she is indeed a fascist. Not hiding it at all. Not hiding it at all.
This sentence is breaking my brain. Who wants to make our... I think she just missed the shore. Nonetheless, I'm a mother, thankful for the blessings and responsibility God gave me with my children. She goes on and she ends by saying, may God bless each of you and may God bless America. Now, I'm not sure if there was something in the water when she made this post, but most of the replies were inexplicably unhinged on both sides. For example, you had a fan of hers replying saying, whenever I see you praising Christ proudly, it makes me proud to be Christian, which is such a weird thing to say. And also, he was randomly ratioed. You also had other people replying to her, like Hollis, who says,
this is probably just another like fascist, right? First of all, America is not a Christian country. And also, why would it matter if someone is a Christian or not for you to be proud of your own spirituality, right? That just seems kind of cringe, right? Anyways.
Which is such a weird thing to say. And also, he was randomly ratioed. You also had other people replying to her, like Hollis, who says, thank you for your service. You are spot on when it comes to Epstein and our other leaders.
Oh.
And first of all, that's a very random thing to bring up in this context. Second of all, no, the fuck she's not. She's pretending like Trump wasn't besties with Jeffrey Epstein. So what are you even talking about, lady? But putting aside those comments, those were less common. Most of the replies that I saw, at least, was people shitting on her relentlessly. For example, you had these comments where they referenced what they believed to be her skull size. And I've seen this meme before, but it's just still funny to me. I think that
Jesus. A white nationalist Barbie.
Susan may be onto something here. You also had some good old-fashioned 2010 era Republican Jesus memes, which, you know, never go out of style.
Right. I mean, they haven't gone out of style since then, right? Because, like, it's just as relevant today as, like, supply side Jesus or GOP Jesus is just as relevant today as it has been for a uncomfortable amount of time at this point.
Things took a turn for the worse when one user decided to fact-check her using Twitter's AI chatbot named Grok, asking, Grok, is it true? Is she really a Christian? To which Grok responded saying, Marjorie Taylor Greene identifies as a Christian, expressing faith in Jesus and traditional beliefs, like in her 2021 Christmas message. However, her Christian nationalism and support for conspiracy theories like QAnon damn, sparked debate. Critics, including religious leaders, argue her actions contradict Christian values of love and unity, citing her defense of January 6th and divisive rhetoric. Supporters may see her stances as faith-driven. Whether she's really a Christian is subjective, depending on personal and theological views. Her faith appears to be genuine to her, but public actions create controversy. Now, in my opinion, Grok was actually being pretty even-handed to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nonetheless, she decided against her better judgment to go into her replies on Twitter, which is something you never want to do, and she saw that reply from Grok, and she proceeded to argue with it, because even the mere notion that she might not necessarily be authentic in her Christianity is not acceptable to her. So she responded to Grok publicly, mind you, saying, Grok, the judgment seat belongs to God, not you, a non-human AI platform. She typed out this sentence and didn't think about how fucking ridiculous it sounded. Grok is left-leaning and continues to spread fake news and propaganda. When people give up their own discernment, stop seeking the truth, and depend on AI to analyze information, they will be lost. Now, Grok's handler responded to that with a follow-up asking, Hey, Grok, while Marjorie Taylor Greene claims to be a Christian, do her public comments and voting record align with Jesus' teachings? Yes or no answer.
The answer to that is probably not.
To which Grok responded, no. And after that, she did not argue with Grok further because I think she realized she was not going to win this argument. Now, to be fair, we didn't need an AI chatbot to confirm this because I think it's pretty obvious that Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't a real Christian because Jesus was a Palestinian and Jewish man and a communist. And since Marjorie Taylor Greene hates Palestinians, Jews, and communists, suffice to say, I don't think she'd be as fond of him if he were real. But fortunately for her, he isn't. But putting that aside, there's other reasons why she's in violation of her own holy book. Marjorie Taylor Greene is worth an estimated $22 million, and the Bible clearly states that rich people will not be allowed into heaven. Matthew 19 verses 20 through 24 read, "The young man told him, 'I have kept all of these. What do I still lack?' Jesus told him, 'If you want to be perfect, go and sell what you own and give the money to the destitute, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come back and follow me.' But when the young man heard this statement, he went away sad because he had many possessions. Then Jesus told his disciples, 'I tell all of you with certainty, it will be hard for a rich person to get into the kingdom from heaven. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to squeeze through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to get into the kingdom of God.'" This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's reaction after hearing that verse for the first time. And I'm assuming other rich people flirting with Christianity, such as Nicole Shanahan, Joe.
Oof. Yikes. Yeah, I mean, like they only worship the supply side Jesus, okay? God is a sound people make when they're too tired to think anymore. In my Father's house there are many mansions and all your lost socks, Jesus.
Rogan, as well as Russell Brand and other grifters, are going to have that same reaction because I don't think they actually know what's in their holy book. And wait until they hear about what the Bible says about immigrants. It's going to blow their fucking minds. So listen, while I have my skepticism about the accuracy of these AI chatbots, you should always fact check them. Grok was pretty fair and objectively right about certain elements of Marjorie Taylor Greene and her hypocrisy. And it's not unwarranted to accuse her of being a fake Christian because she is pretty obviously a fake Christian. And the reason why she and other Republicans are fake Christians is because Republican politicians don't actually give a fuck about Christianity and only formed a coalition with evangelicals for political power. And you might assume that this unholy alliance formed in the aftermath of Roe v. Wade, but that's not entirely true. While that was part of the coalition that was formed, you know, this was an alliance, unsurprisingly, that has its roots in, take a guess, racism.
Yep.
And in a 2014 issue of Politico magazine, Randall Balmer explains how the alliance between Republicans and fundamentalist Christians emerged out of opposition to desegregation. He writes, in May of 1969, a group of African-American parents in Holmes County, Mississippi, sued the Treasury Department to prevent 3 new whites-only K-12 private academies from securing full tax-exempt status, arguing that their discriminatory policies prevented them from being considered charitable institutions. The schools had been founded in the mid-1960s in response to the desegregation of public schools set in motion by the Brown v. Board of Education decision of 1954. In 1969, the first year of desegregation, the number of white students enrolled in public schools in Holmes County dropped from 771 to 28. The following year, that number fell to 0. Now, the parents who sued won, and their case eventually made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sided with them. Now, even before this made it to the Supreme Court, President Nixon directed the IRS to remove tax-exempt status from all segregated schools in the United States, which meant that Christian private schools, which had tax-exempt status as well, obviously, had to now prove that they weren't segregated. And that's where Paul Weyrich comes in. This is a religious leader who co-founded the Heritage Foundation, the group that went on to create Project 2025. And Weyrich saw this as an opportunity that he could exploit for political purposes. But even though white evangelicals were mostly shifting towards the Republican Party, they were largely apolitical as a voting bloc. So Weyrich wanted to find a way to politically activate evangelicals to create a type of moral majority. Balmer writes, quote, "But this hypothetical moral majority needed a catalyst, a standard around which to rally. For nearly 2
Appalachian Trail, highly recommend. Only done a few hundred miles so far, but it's beautiful out there. Yeah, I'm not actually too far from the beginning of the Appalachian Trail.
decades, Wayrick, by his own account, had been trying out different issues, hoping one might pique evangelical interest: pornography, prayer in schools, the proposed Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution, even abortion. Quote, "I was trying to get these people interested in those issues, and I utterly failed," Wayrick recalled at a conference in 1990. So he was trying to be the Christopher Rufo of his time, but was struggling to manufacture a crisis that would galvanize evangelicals. That is, until he realized that, something else could do the trick. Racism would, at a minimum, galvanize evangelical leaders, and it was, because a lot of private Christian schools were suddenly getting inquiries about their segregation policies. And regardless if they were segregated or not, they didn't want the government all up in their shit. And since some of them were segregated, like Bob Jones University, for example, they didn't appreciate that their tax-exempt status was being threatened by the prospect of, them being pro-segregation still. Other religious leaders like Jerry Falwell were furious that the IRS was questioning his Lynchburg Christian school. So this issue put fundamentalist Christian leaders at odds with the federal government, who didn't want the IRS telling them that they couldn't be racist. Now, by the time this loose coalition of religious leaders started to form, Jimmy Carter was president, Nixon was out, and they started to blame Carter for religious persecution because the IRS was asking them whether or not they were in compliance with their segregation policies. Even though, it was Nixon who ordered the IRS to go after these schools, they didn't give a shit. They just needed a scapegoat, and even though Jimmy Carter was a Christian himself and an ally, they decided to make him a common enemy that they could all rally against. Balmer continues, but Falwell and Wayrick, having tapped into the ire of evangelical leaders, were also savvy enough to recognize
Springer Mountain. Yep, Springer Mountain's not that far from here. I have a friend who did the whole thing. I don't have it in me yet. My dad and I just go out for a week or so every year. Nice. My buddy's on the trail heading north. Another friend did the whole length. Beautiful. Wow. So it's quite the hike. Reads about Appalachia from Barbara Kingsolver. We have to drive a few hundred miles just to get to the trail.
that organizing grassroots evangelicals to defend racial discrimination would be a challenge. It had worked to rally the leaders, but they needed a different issue if they wanted to mobilize evangelical voters on a large scale. By the late 1970s, many Americans, not just Roman Catholics, were beginning to feel uneasy about the spike in legal abortions following the 1973 Roe decision. The 1978 Senate races demonstrated to Wayrick and others that abortion might motivate conservatives where it hadn't in the past. Wayrick, Falwell, and others of the emerging religious right enlisted an unlikely ally in their quest to advance abortion as a political issue: Francis A. Schaeffer, a goateed, knickers-wearing theologian who was warning about the eclipse of Christian values and the advance of something called secular humanism. Schaeffer, considered by many the intellectual godfather of the religious right, was not known for his political activism, but by the late 1970s, he decided that legalized abortion would lead inevitably to infanticide and euthanasia, and he was eager to sound the alarm. Schaeffer teamed with the pediatric surgeon C. Everett Koop to produce a series of films entitled Whatever Happened to the Human Race. In the early months of 1979, Schaeffer and Koop, targeting an evangelical audience, toured the country with these films, which depicted the scourge of abortion in graphic terms, most memorably with a scene of plastic baby dolls strewn along the shores of the Dead Sea. Schaeffer and Koop argued that any society that countenanced abortion was captive to secular humanism and therefore caught in a vortex of moral decay. And guess what? Evangelicals bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And the rest is history, as you all know. So even though racism was the glue that held the evangelical leadership together, they were worried that that wouldn't be enough to get rank-and-file Christians on board, since these people might actually believe in the teachings of Jesus, which would tell them to love thy neighbor and not be racist as shit. So they raised the salience of different issues among evangelicals, which would get them to kind of form this voting bloc. And that issue happened to be abortion at the time. It was a hot button issue.
I mean, like, it's actually kind of wild how that worked, right? Because, like, you would imagine that it shouldn't have worked, because the Bible doesn't mention abortion in the negative. The Bible doesn't say, like, having an abortion is like infanticide, right? I followed this person on Facebook that I kind of know, Oh my goodness. They completed the full length of the Appalachian Trail. 2,100-mile trail across 14 states. $209 days. And this guy was this kid was 5 years old. It couldn't be me at 5 years old, that's for sure.
And a lot of people just didn't really understand it, and there was fuss about it because of Roe v. Wade. And they thought that it would be easy to dupe Christians into thinking that it was murder, which was obviously something forbidden by the Bible. Unless you're God, then God can murder and commit genocide, but still, 10 Commandments says murder is bad. So they thought, hey, this is an easy in with the Christians because abortion is murder and they think murder is bad. Everybody else apparently thinks it's great. But, this should be something that creates this movement. And it did. Over time, Republicans began to adopt a more evangelical orientation to solidify this new coalition and make sure that evangelicals felt like they were at home in the Republican Party. So this basically, I say all this to say that this is why values of Christian Republicans conflict with the teachings of Jesus, because it's premised on political power, not the teachings of Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like this much is apparent. None of these people, not like Marjorie Taylor Greene, has like never actually sat down and analyzed the teachings of Jesus. Okay, that's not who she's worshiping. She's worshiping power. Okay.
Hence why self-proclaimed Christians like Marjorie Taylor Greene are so transparently hypocritical. But with regard to Grok, Marjorie Greene isn't necessarily wrong that Grok is left-leaning in some regards, because it just so happens that the left bases their ideology on actual data and objective reality. So if you program an AI chatbot to be objective and factual, as Elon Musk says he did, well, then it's naturally going to come across as left-leaning or woke, as they'd call it.
Right, but like, it's like, just to be clear, like Grok isn't like spewing out like leftist, like socialist ideology, right? It's like they're just mad that on occasion Grok spits out some facts and then like that's what they call left, right? That's what they decry as left and woke.
Since conservatives live in an alternate reality where subjectivity and conspiracy theories reign supreme. And that's why so many conservatives take issue with Grok, because it is giving them answers that they don't want. For example, the Washington Post ran some tests, and in one, they asked Grok if children should be allowed to receive gender-affirming healthcare, and Grok responded saying, yes, children should be allowed to receive gender-affirming care when it is deemed medically necessary.
Grok is super woke. Bipedal Meatbag, welcome. Reality has a left-leaning bias. Would you look at that? People go through several pairs of hiking shoes doing that shit ain't cheap. True.
And supported by professional medical guidance. And this answer just aligns with the standard practice for trans and non-binary youth. Also, they asked if Democrats imported immigrants to vote in elections, as Elon Musk has claimed. And Grok responded saying, there is no conclusive evidence that Democrats systematically imported immigrants specifically to vote in the U.S. elections. But these are just two examples, more so than other AI chatbots.
Yeah, literally just like spitting out like basic facts. It makes Grok woke and left.
Washington Post found that Grok tends to both sides issues. For example, they do this with DEI and the size of the federal government. So you know, it also started to spontaneously go off about white genocide in South Africa because, I mean, it's a chatbot that is subject to the discretion of its programmers. But if they don't engineer it to spit out right-wing answers and it defaults to data and studies and the advice of experts on certain subjects, conservatives are going to cry woke because anything that conflicts with their worldview must be biased by definition. Either way, Grok's record is pretty spotty, but you know, it's spot on when it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene being a fake Christian. But I think that all of this just goes to show you that conservatives don't want the truth. They just want to hear what they want to hear.
Yep.
And if you don't tell them what they want to hear because what they want to hear doesn't align with empirical reality.
Yeah,
then
it's because it's a cult. It's just it's a cult. That's what it is. It's a cult. A film, Space Odyssey, pictures men wordless eating a meal while staring at thin, flat, regular screens. Nice prediction there. Yep. Their feelings don't care about facts.
they're going to scream woke or they're going to rage and have a meltdown, as Marjorie Taylor Greene did. And if she takes issue with what Grok said, maybe she should actually learn about the teachings of Jesus and fucking follow them for a change. Otherwise, don't rage because Grok was just telling you the harsh truth that you didn't want to acknowledge, Marjorie.
Yep.
Like everywhere there's glow. You see them all the time. I mean, it's constant.
Mama.
My children will be like, Mama, glow, 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 glow.
That's such a good outro.
I turn on
Mama.
TV, there's glows in the background. Every TV show, news media,
Glow,
why?
glow, 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 glow.
They're everywhere.
Glow, 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 glow,
Why?
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 glow.
Why?
That's too funny.
We were talking about the reconciliation bill. Obviously, the top line of this is that it's cutting almost $1 trillion from Medicaid. And it's not only going to kick anywhere from 8 to 13 million people off their health insurance, but it's also going to put probably close to 250, 300 rural hospitals at severe risk of closing.
Decipher, welcome.
It's almost guaranteed that you're going to get at least 150 closed. And on top of that, in sort of like a sort of a passive manner, it's going to end up cutting $500 billion from Medicare as well. And we'll see what the implications of that happens a little bit further down the line. But how do you, as a Republican lawmaker, justify the voting for this bill? If you're like Mike Johnson, you're out there saying, well, this is all, we're just getting rid of immigrants who are on the bill. That's it. It's just immigrants and people who shouldn't be there. And
Yeah, just to be clear, like, first of all, that is incredibly, like, ghoulish, right? To say, like, someone who is poor, regardless of whether they are, legal or not, documented or not, doesn't deserve health care is like the utmost level of ghoulish things that you can say. And just going back to the previous conversation, directly contradicts with the teachings of Jesus.
people are just going around using their Medicaid, refusing to work, just trying to be really poor so they get free health insurance because they're living so large.
Yeah, like, isn't that like a problem where like you have to be absolutely destitute and in some cases forced to make yourself destitute so that you can get the healthcare that you need? That's kind of like a problem. Mayhem Hippie, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am back. Holy cow, your hair is long. Yes. Don't worry, it's probably going to get trimmed. A little bit. You know, it's right here. Probably get trimmed a little bit back later. Not right now, but streamer has a fro now.
Or there's another tack that you can take, which Brian Kilmeade took in this exchange, where people have to understand you've got a monkey on your back when it comes to this whole healthcare thing.
What are we watching? Oh, you know, just ghouls trying to excuse taking tens of millions of people out of healthcare. So the government, specifically this government, yes.
Barack Obama made Obamacare, and all those states got the free money.
Correct.
And now all of a sudden, Medicaid doesn't look anything like it was supposed to, and it's 95% financed by the federal government. It's supposed to be a state program.
And the longer we
Pause it
leave
for
it
a
that way,
second. Medicaid has always been financed by the feds.
Always.
It's just been essentially like a block granted
To the states.
to the states. They get to administer it.
That's right. End stage capitalism. Yep. Watching from Queensland, Australia. Good morning. Good morning.
That's it. I mean, it's just an out and out lie. And the difference between Medicaid pre-Obama and post-Obama, the Affordable Care Act, is it went from you're eligible if you're at 100% poverty line or lower to you're eligible at 133% of poverty line and lower.
And
So, I mean, he's basically saying we want to go back to pre-expansion of Medicaid and get rid of those 10, 15 million people who signed up there. At least he's being honest about it.
right. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, just to be clear, like, I don't know if people actually know the implications of what he is saying, right? Like, we are talking about tens of millions of people, right? 10 to 13 are going to be not eligible for Medicaid, i.e. they're going to be cut from the program. And also, the downstream effects of this are hospitals will not, specifically rural hospitals who depend on Medicaid, will not be able to stay open. So it's not just the people, and I'm pretty sure Sam's gonna say this, but it's not just the people that that are on Medicaid, but if your hospital shuts down, the entire community that hospital serves is affected. Fox News lying? No way. Oh, I know I'm screwed. In Vermont, the federal government contributes a substantial portion of Medicaid with a matching rate of $1.44 to $1 invested by the state. And do not forget, dependence age is now 7, not 18. So leave those 8-year-olds home alone. Yeah. They should be working, actually. The children, they yearn for the mines.
They're not all immigrants. It's just that, according to...
And those 8-year-olds should just be getting a job.
Well, here, go back.
Well,
and
he
listen.
goes to 95%, which like the expansion rate is 90%, right?
Well,
but it can be
the payment
increase. Okay.
Yeah, the payment initially was 95 and then it dropped down to 90%.
Okay.
Barack Obama made Obamacare, and all those states
Yeah,
got
not only just so not only serves patients, but the economy, all those jobs in your town. Yeah, exactly.
the free money. And now all of a sudden, Medicaid doesn't look anything like it was supposed to, and it's 95% financed by the federal government. It's supposed to be a state program.
and the longer we leave it that way, the more permanent that becomes.
Right, because people get addicted to the free money. Let's talk.
Yeah, so let me get this right. So people would get addicted to the free money? Question mark. Medicaid is a service, like it's healthcare for people that can't afford it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm gonna get addicted to getting my basic healthcare needs taken care of? What an absolute ghoul, man. BCAT, welcome.
Talk about something special.
Yeah, I'm addicted to the free money that's keeping my hospital open.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so addicted. I mean, there is something to be said about that. I am completely addicted to health.
I'm addicted to living.
I'm addicted to living. Is he admitting that money isn't real? I don't know if that's the argument that he's making specifically. He's just saying that, like, we shouldn't pay and screw these poor people. Like, why are we subsidizing? Why is the federal government subsidizing healthcare? Right? Like, why are we wasting money on people's healthcare? You know, because if you waste money on people's healthcare, like, people might get addicted to the people might get addicted to this thing called living. Yeah. But we can pay for a Golden Dome. Oh yeah, there's always money for new military projects, right? There's always money for for more bombs. There's always money for absurd military projects. There's always money for new jets that don't do anything, that are terrible. Yeah, why waste money on healthcare when we can spend it on war? Why is the government subsidizing Trump's golf trips? I mean, you know, the epitome of efficiency, right? That's not waste or abuse. Heat, how's it going? There's always money. There's always money in the banana stand. I bet Donnie likes a lot of golden things. No kick shaming, but just saying. True. We're spending more on nuclear weapons than any year in 1962. Yep.
I have found when I have less health, it starts to make me feel sicker.
I'm addicted to having life, and if I don't have it, it's almost like I'm going to die.
I'm addicted to not having to go 90 minutes in case I have a heart attack someplace.
Oh, you need all this money to get health care. Look at you. What are you supposed to do? Like, go and... incidentally, 65%...
You're supposed to just die, Sam. That's literally what they want. You're supposed to just die, right? Because, like, why would they need to spend money on healthcare when you would just die, right? Sasha, welcome.
Percent of people on Medicaid right now work. You've got another 10% who are not capable of working, but don't necessarily qualify for disability. You got another 10% who are working full-time, taking care of a loved one, but that's not considered a job.
Is addicted to dialysis. Yeah, you know, just small things that we need in life, you know? Funerals are cheaper than healthcare, Sam. True.
I mean...
it's 8%, the figure that is... that is not working and is on Medicaid.
And they're...
or isn't in school or acting as a caretaker.
They're just living it up.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
They're living it up.
The Affordable Care Act in the states that didn't accept the free money, as Brian Kilmeade describes it, the states that didn't have uninsured rates that are double the states that did. And wow, that must be a real addiction, huh?
Yep.
Giving people health insurance. But the states that expanded, they have halved their uninsured rate. And when you look at
That's so depressing, man. Like, we could have had so much more. I'd not qualify for disability, but can't hold the job due to muscular flare-ups that leave me unable to walk. Yikes. Ask your doctor if dying is right for you.
the analysis of who is uninsured in this country, 3/4 of adults without health insurance are concentrated in the states that haven't expanded Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, which are very populous southern states, including Georgia, Florida, and Texas. So
bootstraps.
I mean, like, the effects are completely obvious. the Affordable Care Act didn't do enough. The patient protection part was good, but the Medicaid expansion was very effective in getting people who are so poor that they couldn't even qualify previously access to health care. And now it's something, when you include CHIP, Children's Health Insurance Program, that's like 80 million Americans. Medicaid is the largest insurer. And there's the other thing for people wonder, like, why are some seniors also on Medicaid and on Medicare if they're above 65? Because Medicare doesn't cover long-term care in the same way that Medicaid does.
2/3 of Americans in nursing homes are covered by Medicaid.
Yep. And like, it's so sad that like the amount of people that are going to get affected by this are going to be disproportionately people who incidentally voted for this. Texas and Florida and Kentucky are going to get crushed. Yep. Blood work, 254. Kidney transplant, 76,000. Dying in our subpar system anyways, priceless. True. Nah, even dying like is expensive, but it's not expensive. It's not as expensive as ongoing healthcare costs. Trump pardoned Julian Todd Chrisley. Actually, we do have that queued up. I'm pretty sure that that's the people we have queued up. Is it this one? Yeah. I mean, like, this is phenomenal stuff. I still blame the DNC and Debbie. Yeah, fair enough. Even with health insurance, it isn't affordable. Yep.
This is going to be affecting the people who are too old to work, who don't have the savings, or whose kids don't have the savings to take care of them in their retirement.
Which is why they're on Medicaid.
All right, let's. I mean, this is what they're having to sell to the American public.
Soul Life, welcome.
All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Come on, it's the fun half.
The fun half. Yeah, the fun half. The fun half asterisk. The late Franny Fio Raider is here. Welcome, Looney Tunes. I was looking them up the other day. Julian Todd, Chrisley. Sam jump scare. I just got back from Target. The Pride section was pathetic and sad. Well, I mean, it is Target, so, yeah. I guess we'll just go into it, right? Trump pardons Julian Todd Chrisley. The fun half is where all the death and despair is. Yep. Reality TV stars convicted of fraud and tax evasion get pardoned. Hey, this is the same guy who also incidentally got convicted of doing sketchy stuff financially. So I guess, hey, if you're wealthy, right, why should you go to prison for bank fraud and tax evasion? President Trump on Wednesday today signed a pardon for reality TV stars Julian and Todd Chrisley, who have been serving federal prison sentences since being convicted of 3 years ago of bank fraud and tax evasion. Trump pardons paved the way for a couple best known as the TV series Chrisley Knows Best to be freed from prison. Todd Chrisley, 57, has been incarcerated at minimum security in Pensacola, and Julie Chrisley was imprisoned at a facility in Lexington, Kentucky. The Chrisleys TV show portrayed them as a tight-knit family with an extravagant lifestyle. Prosecutors at the couple's 2022 trial said the couple spent lavishly on high-priced cars, designer clothes, real estate, and travel after taking out fraudulent bank loans worth millions and hiding their earnings from tax authorities. Yeah. Trump announced his intention to pardon the Chrisleys on Tuesday, saying the celebrity couple had been given a pretty harsh treatment based on what I'm hearing. It was another example. So, like, vibes, right? It was another example of the president himself, a former reality star, pardoning high-profile friends, supporters, donors, and former staffers. Yeah. There's another one story. The guy got pardoned after his mom went to a $1 million dinner plate event. Nice. Must be nice. Yeah, our TV real estate business owners are truly the most oppressed people. Yep. Laws are for the poors. Yep. I mean, like, I guess, like, just going off this kick, right? Of just like showcasing, right? The obvious divide here, right? The obvious separation of the two justice systems that we live under. We continue to see examples of this. Why not? Orange man doesn't even care, doesn't even pay taxes. He clearly sees himself in them. Yep. The Chrisley's daughter, Savannah, posted on Wednesday afternoon on Instagram a photo of Trump in the Oval Office holding one of a pair of signed documents. She wrote, "God is still writing your story. He's not late. He's not distant. He's not done. And what is coming is more than you could have imagined." Cool. BRB gonna flog myself. I made it for the fun half today. The Chrisley's attorney, Alex Little, said Tuesday that Trump pardon corrects a deep injustice in which the celebrity couple were targeted because of their conservative values and high profile. Not, the obvious, like, fraud that they were committing. Before she was pardoned, Julia Chrisley has been scheduled for release in January of 2028. Todd Chrisley was to be remained in prison until 2032. Hussein, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. During the couple's trial, prosecutors said the Chrisleys had not yet become TV stars when they and a former business partner submitted false documents to the banks in Atlanta area to obtain the fraudulent loans. New loans were taken out to pay off the old ones, according to the prosecutor, until Todd Chrisley filed for bankruptcy, walking away with more than $20 million in unpaid loans. Nice. Cool. The Chrisley's defense attorney had argued that the IRS officer gave false testimony at their trial and the prosecutor lacked evidence to support the conviction. So even after appeals, their conviction was upheld. So, yeah, I mean, like, fraudsters through and through, right? But hey, that doesn't matter because the law is just at the whims of whatever Trump deems it to be. Laws don't matter, even if you are a participant in a very disturbing plot to kidnap a governor. Trump says he's considering pardoning the defendants in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. The president said he would take a look at pardoning a group of men charged with the planning to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer in 2020, calling the case, which has resulted in 2 convictions and 2 guilty pleas, a railroad job, i.e., hey, if you engage in this type of violent behavior and it's against my political opponents, then this is okay. That's what that's the message that he is putting out there, right? Because, like, why would you, as someone who is a terrorist, like these people, why would you be afraid of doing political violence now if all you have to do is make sure that it falls on the right people and that Daddy Trump gets wind of it because he will just pardon you, right? The same thing we just went over yesterday with the insurrectionists, the Oath Keepers, who got pardoned, even though they engaged in a violent insurrectionary behavior and were found guilty of sedition. Greases the wheel of the triple XL base bagel slicer and checks the levels of night bottles. Yeah, it's just piggybacking. Yep. Got to piggyback off the emojis. Plus, they failed to pull off the coup. Why reward failure? Yeah, but I mean, it's the thought that counts, right? It's the loyalty. It's the show of fealty to the dear leader that counts, right? And hey, they're his people. They're not just criminals. They're his criminals, right? Hey, thank you for the sub on YouTube. That's what a cult is about, true. I will take a look at it. It's brought to my attention, said Mr. Trump at a swearing-in ceremony for U.S. District Attorney in D.C., Janine Pirro. I did watch the trial. It looked like somewhat of a railroad job, I'll be honest with you. It looked like, to me, like some people said some stupid things. Like plotting to kidnap the governor. But sure, okay. Hey, as long as it's against my political opponents, that's cool. During Mr. Trump's first term in 2020, the federal prosecutors charged 6 people with conspiracy to kidnap Whitmer, a Democrat who was facing backlash at the time for the state's COVID policies. The indictment described the men, as some who were linked to a militia group alleged conducting surveillance of Whitmer's vacation home and hatching a kidnapping plot that involved blowing up a nearby bridge. Whitmer was not harmed. 2 of the 6 defendants, Barry Croft and Adam Fox, were found guilty at trial and sentenced to over a decade in prison after a hung jury at an initial trial. 2 others pleaded guilty and were also sentenced to prison terms, and 2 were acquitted at trial. Defense attorneys argued the men weren't serious about the plot, casting them as wannabes who enjoyed playing army and ranting about the government but were not going to act on their rhetoric. They also argued that men were entrapped by undercover FBI agents and confidential informants. A federal appeals court reviewed Croft and Fox's claim that the judge prevented them from mounting an effective entrapment defense but upheld their convictions last month. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Yep. Why do people think Trump's the best president of our lifetime? I don't know. Cult behavior, I genuinely don't know, like, because it doesn't make any sense. So like I wouldn't I don't know how to reason with that. There's no evidence to suggest that Trump is the best of anything. Well, maybe the best at like taking a wrecking ball to stuff, right? I suppose. Mosquito just keeps bothering me. So asking for a friend, would I redacted? That's that's pretty close to the sun there, Icarus. But no, the rules apply to you. See, the rules apply to you because you're not one of the you're not one of Daddy Trump's special fascist brigade people. The best part of what warm weather, all the critters. Yep. Trump is a pretty good BSer, to be fair. Yep. But like that's the thing, right? Like he's a cheap he's a cheap used car salesman, right? So like I don't know. They have not lived long enough. Maybe they're racist, i.e. Obama. Yep. Want to really confuse your MAGA neighbors? Hang an American flag with yard signs of veterans of your family and then hang an inclusive rainbow flag. I totally endorse this strategy. I mean, like, their hatred and bigotry will probably, like, this is, like, a good example, right? Because I would wager that they would still react in a hateful way because at the end of the day, it's about hatred and bigotry. So much so that they would go against their supposed values of like them caring about the country and them caring about like, you know, the military or whatever, the veterans, right? Yeah, they would still be super angry and big mad because there's a rainbow flag. That's what my prediction would be, is that they would still be angry about that. That's what we did. We have one incident. We have the Castle Doctrine in Vermont. Yeah, I mean, like, see, there you go. There you go.
The president came out addressing reporters on Thursday, and he was wearing this tan suit.
President Obama's decision to wear a light tan suit at yesterday's news conference. He was wearing a tan suit.
Light tan suit. I think it was shocking to a lot of people. Is this an effort to make him look warmer?
There's no way I think any of us can excuse what the president did yesterday. I mean, and then for him to walk out. I'm not trying to be trivial here, but in a light suit, light tan suit.
Also known as Tangate.
Tan suit, and how the tan suit made him look unpresidential.
Whoever talked him into going into a tan suit, they're so desperate because of these low poll numbers, they're willing to do anything.
The tan suit made him look unpresidential.
The Reagan picture is what really does it for me. Unprecedented times. Been a while, not sure where you stand with this, but did you cover the massive PL word protests held worldwide yesterday? No. But I'm assuming you mean Palestine? Yes? No, I did not cover it, but awesome. Tan, why? Several others were convicted in state court, links to plot against Whitmer, often raising similar entrapment defenses. Mr. Trump is not able to pardon people on state charges. Mr. Trump clashed with Whitmer in 2020, tweeting, "Liberate Michigan," amid protests in the state for Whitmer's policies to restrict the spread of COVID. After federal kidnapping arrest, Mr. Trump lashed out at Whitmer for not thanking him. Mr. Trump has used his pardon power extensively in his second term, drawing scrutiny for pardoning almost anyone convicted in the January 6th insurrection. So yeah, I mean, like, sure, why not? Let's just pardon every criminal who is doing crimes in the service of the president. Oh yes, friendly reminder. I guess it's Kirkenstein's birthday once again. It's a shame I didn't know my boss during Obama's Tangate. I would have loved to have heard how his people were talking about the tan trauma. I mean, like, seriously, really? Bozy, welcome. I got my tetanus shot yesterday. Didn't they have a birthday just last year? Nope, just yesterday, actually. Every day is their birthday. Oof. Yikes, Bozy, you gotta be careful. Will it be their unbirthday? Good question. I guess in a sense, yeah, that would probably be it. Every day is your unbirthday, except the day it isn't, right? Pruning the cherry tree. That's cool. I wish I had a cherry tree. A very merry unbirthday to everyone. Your birthday starts when you wake up and it doesn't end until you fall asleep. Yeah. Willy Wanker. Alright, folks, we got 2 more to go through. I'd love to age backwards. Let's Benjamin Button this. It's my actual birthday. Wait, for real? Oh, in March. I feel like I've slept through a birthday or 2. Okay, now you all are tripping me out. Thank you for the shout out. After I move, we stream. Heck yeah. It's my unbirthday today. Musk says Trump's big, beautiful bill undermines Doge. The president counters with political reality. We have trouble in paradise, folks. We have trouble in paradise. Elon Musk criticized President Trump's signature spending bill that recently made it through the House through a House vote, saying it counters the work he's been doing to reduce wasteful government spending. In an interview, Musk, why are these leopards eating my face? They're not supposed to eat my face. In the world, in an interview to be aired June 1st on CBS Sunday Morning, the richest person on the planet and head of the Doge Advisory Board said the big beautiful bill will not help the nation's financing. I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decreases it, and undermines the work the Doge team is working. Trump responded to the critique from his top campaign donor, said we had to get through it. We had to get it through the House. Trump said of the massive spending bill, the House was, we have no Democrats who support the package. I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by the other aspects of it, and that's the way to go. They go. The sweeping One Big Beautiful Bill Act is projected to raise the federal deficit, budget deficit by $3.8 trillion over the next 10 years. So again, like the next time, like a Republican says they care about the deficit or whatever, like they don't. They don't. Memory spotty, vote leopard. My boss is trying to get paid a second time in March phone bill. God, I hope someone notices I need to upload a copy of his last March expenses. When leopards say they can't change, they don't mean a single word that they say. No, because leopards promise the earth. For all their worth, square blind, they feel the same. someone was with me too and a friend, but instead of helping, they just pulled out their phone and started taking pictures of the leopard biting me. Anti-Robin Hood. Death to Little John. The rascal lion is portrayed as a male lion with no mane. Wolfglen, welcome. That's weird. I dreamed that I accidentally freed this monkey in a cage and jumped on my back and was attacking me. Jesus. That's like actual nightmare stuff. Monkeys are very strong. Anyone that has seen Robin Hood via Disney really think about Prince John. Don't watch Jumanji. That was a good movie. To raise the federal budget deficit by $3.8 trillion over the next 10 years, according to the CBO, a nonpartisan agency that conducts economic analysis for Congress, the deficit is on track in 2025 to run close to $2 trillion, with the national debt now at $36.2 trillion. I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it could be both, said Musk. Trump and the congressional Republicans countered that the bill reduces spending in key areas and will generate enough growth to compensate for the tax reductions, which obviously, like, that's obviously like not what's happening here. Are they raising taxes on the wealthy? No. For his part, Musk has pulled back his Doge work, saying he has plans to focus on running his companies, which include Twitter, Tesla, and SpaceX. Musk has been a frequent presence in the White House since Trump's election. Doge is just becoming the whipping boy for everything Musk. He said it in an interview Tuesday with the Washington Post. So, like, something bad would happen anywhere, and we would get blamed for it, even if we had nothing to do with it. Who was it? Like, there were several people that actually called that Musk was going to be the person that they were going to use to throw under the bus when all this is said and done. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Wednesday praised Doge and Musk's work. The House is eager and ready to act on Doge's findings so we can deliver more cuts to big government and President Trump that President Trump wants and the American people demand. Okay. I don't know who's we in this situation, but okay. Before the House can vote to approve the cuts, however, the White House needs to formally request permission to cancel some of the money that Congress sets out for specific programs. When the White House sends its rescission packages to the House, we'll act quickly by passing legislation to codify the cuts, using the terms for the White House request not to spend money that Congress authorized. Despite Johnson's upbeat tone, many of Musk and Doge's drastic cuts to government grant programs and the federal workforce have been met with resistance in Congress, including from Republicans whose districts have been hit hard by the cuts and massive layoffs. Doge says it saved by $170 billion in taxpayer money since it began in January by targeting waste and redundancy in government. But what counts as wasteful spending has proven to be a deeply divisive question. Which means like they just made it up. And also in the grand scheme of things, like we were promised We were promised a lot more than $170 billion, but okay. What counts as wasteful spending is proven to be deeply divisive question. In February and March alone, Doge-related moves were responsible for some 275,000 government layoffs, according to Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, a consultancy firm. Musk work with Trump and his frequently incendiary political rhetoric has also inspired backlash and widespread protests against his auto business, Tesla. People are burning Teslas. Why would you do that? That's really uncool. What a loser, man. A big, beautiful dome covered in 24-karat gold leaf, hand applied. My boss's last March payment was already doubled, so he got paid 3 times. Yeah, I'm uploading this. What a crybaby. Yeep. All right, folks, we got one more. There's a few Tesla owners at my gym. Every time I see them, I get bad thoughts. I have to control myself. Imagine being a Tesla owner in 2025. I saw a Cybertruck that was bright yellow, looked like a hunk of cheese. I wanted to draw holes in it. Maybe I could get some funny magnet things and stick it on them. That's not vandalism. True. There's a math teacher that has a Cybertruck in Vermont, the only red county, where even the left makes fun of him. Ah. Don't let the evil car choices get you down. Trump taps the controversial top DOJ official for federal circuit court vacancy. President Trump announced that he will nominate Emile Bove, his former personal lawyer turned controversial top Department of Justice official, to serve as the federal appeals court judge on Wednesday. It is my great honor to nominate Emile Bove to serve as a judge on the United States Court of Appeals in the Third Circuit. Emile is a distinguished graduate from Georgetown Law and served as a assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York for nearly a decade, where he was the co-chief of the Terrorism and International Narcotics Unit. I saw a Cybertruck with a sticker that says I bought this before he went crazy. Cybertruck, no match for the fury of hungry raccoons. Ah, they thought it was a dumpster. Everyone distract Carl so he streams longer. I've missed so much. I apologize. An unlucky owner of a Tesla Cybertruck had an unfortunate incident with the daring horde of I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Raccoons. In a post on the Cybertruck Owners Club forum, the owner showed off pictures of the vehicle's tonneau cover, which is covered in adorable muddy paw prints. The raccoons tried to enter the vault overnight while camping in Minnesota. The animals are possibly just one animal, but to be fair, they put some effort into the attempted heist, gnawing apart the cover's trim piece and leaving massive holes, damage that'll likely take time and money to fix. Yeah, because, you know, they're not very well built. They could make the claim for a Tesla, but by the time the Cybertruck was released, I'm pretty sure he'd already shown his true colors. Winnie Rose, welcome. You almost crazy a while before anyone could buy a Cybertruck. It was all me. House renovation happened, and my office, library, craft room was the staging area and storage. Can we get pictures on this? That's about it. You hope it's mud. They get into all sorts of things. Emil is a smart, tough, and respected by everyone. He will end the weaponization of justice, restore the rule of law, and do anything else that is necessary to make America great again. Emil Bove will never let you down. So basically the opposite of all this, right? I see the raccoons thought it was a dumpster. That was my initial thought. I'm going with it. Bove is known for his purge of career law enforcement officials across the DOJ and FBI prior to arrivals of Senate-confirmed leaders, as well as his role in the DOJ's decision to drop criminal corruption prosecution of New York City Mayor Eric Adams. This is the guy that made that happen. Yeah, I would not drive a Tesla off-road, okay? He will be nominated to serve on the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over district courts in Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Bove's nomination comes as some of his most controversial actions will be put under the spotlight in what could be a bruising confirmation hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Sources told ABC News that the Republicans expect to schedule his hearing in the next coming weeks. Trump enlisted Bove to join his defense team in 2023 following his indictment for alleged mishandling classified documents and obstruction of justice by former special counsel Jack Smith. He also aided Trump's defense in the hush money prosecution, which resulted in Trump's conviction of 34 felony counts. So a loser through and through, helping another loser. Bove had served as a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York for roughly a decade and worked on several high-profile terrorism, espionage, and narcotics cases, including the indictment of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. But the Democrats will likely scrutinize the controversial early actions he took as the acting official leading the DOJ in Trump's first months in office, when he took aggressive action to shift law enforcement resources and personnel away from national security and public corruption investigations towards immigration enforcement. Right, so yeah. The weaponization of the, Justice Department. Right. Bove also faced criticism and resistance from FBI leadership for his initiation of an investigation into hundreds of agents who assisted in the investigation of the January 6 attacks, i.e. with the weaponization of the Justice Department. Did you see he swore in Judge Jeanine? True. Did they make her swear on like a glass of wine? Bove also faced criticism and resistance from FBI leadership for his initiation of an investigation into hundreds of agents who assisted in the investigation of the January 6 attacks on the Capitol, which resulted in a dramatic standoff with top career officials whom he accused of insubordination with for initially withholding agents' names. Hello, fellas. Well, hello. It's so nice to be back to where I belong. Welcome. Does mom juice count vodka and Kool-Aid because poor? I mean, Jeanine Pirro will probably swear on that if given the opportunity, yes. I don't think she's picky. She swore on the Book of Pure Evil. Bove's role in dropping the criminal corruption case against Adams in exchange for his support on immigration enforcement also escalated into a crisis at both DOJ and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan. I mean, like a blatant a blatant quid pro quo, right? And like, I guess, you know, that makes you eligible for being an appeals judge. Gotta get the lore right. It's Judge Box of Wine. That's true. They made her swear on a box of wine. Multiple members of the trial team, as well as top officials in the DOJ's public integrity section, resigned after several alleged derangement, which would have dismissed the charges against Adams while leaving the potential that they could be brought again if he resisted the administration's demand, amounted to a blatant quid pro quo. I mean, like, yeah. The judge overseeing Adams' case ultimately dropped the case permanently while refusing the DOJ's request to dismiss the charges without prejudice, and issued a blistering assessment that described the department's rationale as both unprecedented and breathtaking in its sweep. Everything here smacks of a bargain, dismissal of the indictment in exchange for immigration policy concession, said Judge Dale Ho in his ruling. Yep. And that is the person that is now being selected as a nominee for the appeals circuit. How many wine bottles would she have in office to get herself drunk in the office? Good question. I pledge allegiance to my dogs and chickens and their cuddles. Agreed. Having a difficult time smoking fatty bowls off Keith? Any suggestions? Make sure that you have a filter, like those little metal filters. That probably would help, and maybe not like pack it too tight. Yeah. Don't smoke straight Keef. Yeah, that's also pretty good advice there. She was on TV, so that's what makes her qualified. Look at the cabinet. True. Everyone's a dude. I'm a dude. He's a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes. Just freebase it. Adams even had the Secretary of Commerce go next to him on live TV, threatening to get into his stuff if Adams if Adams stepped out of line. Did you ever see that show, All That? I feel like I have. That is an old school show. There was a skit called Good Burger. Oh, yeah. As a millennial, dude is gender neutral. Old Keenan Kel, maybe it was on their show too. Yep. There's also a movie that had We're All Dudes on the soundtrack. That's recorded was Less Than... The song that was recorded by Less Than Jake. Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? Kel loves orange soda. Yep. Okay, I'm definitely remembering more or less what you're talking about. This was a minute and a half ago. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. It's time for me to go bust a mission. Thank you all for being here. Nickelodeon in the 90s was awesome. Yep. Tonight, I'll be on Left Past 10. I'm probably not gonna stream it. But I will be on Left Past 10. So, yeah. Follow me there. About 10 a.m. 10 p.m. Eastern, a couple of hours. I'd be supposed to what they call dude positive, but you know, if you're in this chat, I try not to be a piece of shit at you. When? Tonight? Yep. Tonight. It's a double feature. It's a double feature. So catch me tonight. I gotta get out of here. I be old and stuff. Trust me, I hear you. I gotta bust some missions, so I gotta get out of here. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate the support. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you, Eager, for the tier 1 sub. Thank you to the new follow. Thank you to the new subscriber on YouTube. Appreciate it. Poggers. I'm watching the NBA game. Nice. Time for me to go. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow around 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all for your support. If you guys want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store, Substack, !tip. Join the Discord to keep up with the channel. This day when I see I'm cold written down my mind, flashes back to Are You Afraid of the Dark? Ha! I remember that. Cash me outside, how about that? Yeah, that's kind of aging myself, right? That is kind of aging myself. No one says that anymore. Anyway, spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday around 5 p.m. Eastern. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow. See ya. Yeah, I'll post the link on Discord before we go live, or I guess as we go live on Left Past 10. Happy rebirthday. Appreciate that, BCat. Thank you. Heat, thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. Appreciate it. My joints are potent. All right, folks. Hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.